Alright, Hollyoaks Mandem. Wow, what an introduction. Hello and welcome to the first tier list on the channel surrounding Hollyoaks. This is going to be a Hollyoaks 2020s Characters Edition. And this is obviously why have I chosen to do this as the first one. Well, the 2020s was the period I first started watching Hollyoaks. I've gone back through time. I've watched like 2015. You know, I've picked up pieces from every now and then. Watched a lot of the Sienna stuff. So essentially decided, fuck it. Let's go ahead and do a little tier list. I've simply taken someone else's tier list, so I will share something. I will share this in the description if you want to play along, and obviously if you want to tell me yours, put it in the Discord. So yes, without any further ado, let's start this Hollyoaks 2020s Characters Edition tier list. Sorry if it looks stupid. I didn't really know how to do it, and I didn't do the surface level of research as to how people do it. So gradually through time, and let's be real, there's a lot of characters here. So through time, my face probably will be covered, and I'll be talking like this. So, and I will say, if some of the pictures are grayed out, it's because I'm having to green screen this out in a way. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll give each character a little introduction first, and then I'll get into where I rank it. I guess, and the tiers are the best and moi. That's a kiss for all you boomers out there. Love you, like you, meh, don't like, hate. I don't know who this is, man. Sorry to this man. So alright, let's start. I mean, this will bring... I've obviously been a Hollyoaks fan for years. I've never really had the excuse or reason to actually talk about these, like, some of these characters. Hold on. So, admittedly, maybe I don't have the most... Like, you know, some takes we generally talk about a lot more. Like, with a lot of the EastEnders stuff, there's a lot more, like, gradual takes. But, like, this stuff I've never thought about, and I've never had to voice openly, so give it a hot minute. Right, first up we have Victor Brothers, I believe. He was the drug dealer who got Juliet and Sid, like, He was a drug dealer that got Sid and Juliet and even Ella and Charlie involved in county lines. He was involved in most of the Sid stuff where they faked Sid's death, and obviously they tried to get him sent down. Ultimately is a meh. I guess, I don't know, it's like there are layers. There are layers to disliking people, and he was just, I don't know, he looked weird. He talked as, you know, I guess he did have an alright villain voice, but look, mate, I don't even know how to do it, but he was just meh, honestly, and it really tanked a lot of the cool Sid stuff, a lot of the cool Juliet stuff, so he can immediately go into meh. Next up, we have... How am I blanking on this fucker's name? It's because I read his name. It's like Greg Finnegan. James Nightingale. There's a lot to and fro with James Nightingale, as he is a dodgy lawyer. I suppose I'll also just show it on the screen. A dodgy lawyer who kind of is constantly scheming, a part of this extended Nightingale family. Now, I must admit, I haven't seen a lot of the Max stuff, which ultimately shaped a lot of his, like, trajectory on the show, and you could see some of the tendencies, and even lately, I say lately, like 6 months ago with the Lucas stuff and how he was treating Steve's son. James is growing, but I would argue it's exclusively because of his relationship with Steve, who obviously is one of my favorite Hollyoaks characters of all time. I would really love to say that I do I enjoy him, but I don't know, it's just, as it is a soap and as he's a lawyer, there's usually a lot of very underhanded stuff. And I will say I did enjoy the trajectory they had with Donna Marie, and then the Juliet stuff, obviously with Juliet and Romeo and Donna Marie and Marnie all being gone. The family we knew it as has absolutely evaporated. So, James, you are... He's better than fucking Victor, though, is the issue. Like, I guess some people might be upset But hey, I mean, it's my tier list. If you want to do your own, there's a link in the description. Right, next up is Edward Hutchinson, Tony and Verity, and even Eric's dad, the abusive, controlling, manipulative guy who seduced Diane whilst he tricked Tony into thinking he had cancer. And still, I didn't get all of the Edward stuff. I was kind of at the tail end. I think I started watching at the... Oh boy, I don't actually remember. You know, the time where Kurt Benson came back and everybody went, fuck me, he's shit. And the stuff with Silas and the doll. Like, I know, it's a bad time to come into Hollyoaks. I won't lie. I don't know how I'm still here. But I am still here 4 years on. Or so. But yeah, ultimately, I don't really know enough. I wasn't a big Tony fan. Even now, I respect Tony and I appreciate the character. But he still winds me up because he is just pompous. But he can be in hate. I remember watching the mince pie death and being like, this is fucking wild shit, this. Alright, next up we have Cindy Cunningham. I was about to say Hutchinson as well, but she has been a Hutchinson before. Cindy is a character who grows on you through time, and initially being very resistant, you're like, oh, I just fucking hate her, you know? She's just so annoying and fucking erratic and ridiculous and over the top, and through time you realize that she is annoying, erratic, over the top, and that's why you start to love her, because she's kind of unreasonable. But it's that soap level of unreasonable where you just start to love them. In this time period, she had the Luke Morgan death stuff. You had her kind of raising Ollie, and later you had the stuff with Grace and oh shit, what's Luke's hippie sister name? Whatever. And finally you had the bank heist, and now she's with Dave Chen Williams, who, yeah, like, you know, I respect Cindy. I respect what she does. I won't say love. I still get wound up by her, but I think that's a level of, it's developed from not caring to caring a little bit more. Next up we have Phoenix, which I don't mean to dead name, but obviously for people who haven't been caught up, they played Brooke, who was taken in by Nancy and Darren. It was it was a big step towards covering autism in a show, because I don't want to mess up their name. I believe it's Tillen Grant. They were the first, like, proper... I say proper. I'm autistic. I can fucking say this. Like, it was an autistic person who would actually show, you know, like the getting overwhelmed and kind of struggling and fucking just absolutely losing their shit, like hard at comprehending stuff. Like, I don't know why I'm struggling to, like, I have a lot of these fucking symptoms. It's how people realized I was autistic. Well, I realized it late, but regardless, they played Brooke from 2018 to 2024, Phoenix rather, and once again, I think I missed a lot of the formative Brooke stuff. A lot of it was the kind of dynamic with Juliet and the kind of slowly building towards, you know, I think it's generally what you want for being an autistic character, where you slowly see them kind of start off fairly, like, you know, with like not much social grasp and not much ambition because they don't really know what to do. No, because you don't really know what to do and you don't know where to go. And at the end of their time on the show, they came out as trans and was called Phoenix, which is fucking sick. Great name. And it resulted in them leaving to go to London to finally live and to just be happy and content with where they're at. So I'm gonna put Brooke in. I'm gonna put Phoenix in like. Oh god, nah. Hold on. Let's reshuffle this. Let's put James Nightingale in like you. Let's put Brooke in Phoenix and meh. Also, fortunately, it was just a nice touch as Tylan came out as transgender and went by he/him pronouns, I believe. So in the show, they decided to say, "Oh yeah, Phoenix is transgender, so they're now Phoenix." So I don't feel as bad by using the wrong name. But if it upsets you, I'm sorry. I do apologize. So she's okay, or they're okay, and they're in meh. You know what? That's fine. Next up, we have Ripley, who is I might honestly get rid of the bottom category. I don't think we need it. I'm gonna put them in meh. Oh Jesus. Hold on. Alright, we made the tier list a bit more accessible. I should generally be able to figure out who all these characters are. Whether I remember the name fully or not is another thing entirely. But Ripley can be a meh. Ripley was a non-binary character who was there to be non-binary and, you know, be somewhat kind of just be a bit more progressive with the views. We got to explore gender a little bit more with Ripley, and they had this relationship with Brooke, and they didn't really know where they stood. And I don't know, it feels like it was a character who was brought in. Like, I accept people saying, you know, I don't really like this character because it's like woke for views. But I will say that Ripley didn't get to do much, and they were just a walking example of non-binary, and I think that's perfectly fine, and I appreciate that there is the representation out there. But they didn't do much, and they didn't get to do much acting, and they didn't really get to... they weren't anything. They were meh. They were the definition of meh. Alright. Next up is Darren Osborne, who... look, I didn't understand Darren Osborne for the longest time, but I will say he's in the best category. I know that he can be quite annoying, and it took me a long time to once again, kind of like the Cindy example, where I'll see Darren's going to crack the shit jokes, and he's going to fucking just be an absolute knobhead, but you kind of have to accept, like, oh, you know, it's just who he is. And, God, I'm just looking at some of the names and realising I don't know who the fuck they are. Oh, everything's having a break. It's having a break, everyone. Fucking panic stations. We're having a little fucking break. But Darren is, through time, like I said, the shitty jokes have kind of gotten aside. I've stopped caring about it so much now. I've fully gone the other way and realised he's actually sweet and caring and loving, and I do enjoy the extended family. I love the relationship with Nancy. And I ultimately, through time, have started to understand why people do like Darren and do like the character he plays, because there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of depth there as well, and you don't always get straight to the depth. You typically have to go through a long-winded fucking route. And I appreciate how much they allowed this to happen, I guess. And through time, he has ascended to the elite category. And I'm not super upset by it. But yeah, alright, let's move on. Like, you know, I appreciate Darren for what he does. I'm not gonna say he's my favourite character because, you know, that spot's taken. But he does deserve to be in that top tier, and it took a long time to understand, but he does truly belong in that category. Next up, we have Perry Lomax. Ooh. I don't really know where to stand on Perry. I see a lot of people who actively enjoy Perry and a lot of people who dislike Perry. Perry, during this time, had the relationship with Juliet and then the relationship with Romeo. I think even my issue with Perry is she is Leela 2.0 and I don't like Leela. I like Perry. I do enjoy the character. But I feel like recency bias is really hitting home, as I just seeing how far the character's fallen, but also remembering how kind of toxic the Juliet relationship was. It was like it only got better because Juliet was dying. I'll say like you. She's good enough to be in that category. Alright, next up, I don't remember this man's name. I know he is a Malik, and I'm 90% sure he is the fella who, when Steve was being groomed by the alt-right, it was Sammy's brother who proceeded to kind of remind him that, yes, he is gay, and remind him... no, it is... He is the half-brother of Sammy. It's Azim Desai. I probably butcher that name. And yeah, he kind of he tried to help Steve break out from this what fucking word am I using here? I don't want to say radicalizing. That's what I know him for. I'm kind of gonna say meh, because I don't know enough, honestly. I know how I delete that category, but I probably should have kept it, because ultimately I don't really know who he is or what he did. I respect what he did for Steve. Next up we have Joel, what's his last name? Fielding? Fox? What is his... Oh, Dexter. There we are. Joel Dexter. Obviously played by Rory Douglas Speed, which is a fucking sick name, I won't lie. Joel is... meh. He's interesting enough. I like him better than everybody else in this category. But he is... obviously didn't really enjoy him as much when he was a vicar or a priest or whatever word fits. Didn't really care for him so much there. And I feel like his stance has just really been wishy-washy. But I do like the Cleo stuff, and I find it sweet and cute, and I do, at this point I do hope that they are allowed happiness. So, you know what, Joel, I like you. He is a bit aggro, he is a bit annoying half the time, I won't lie. I'm not entirely sold on the character, but I appreciate what he does. Next up is Luke Morgan. Obviously, I knew him just for his MND storyline, the motor neuron disease. Obviously played by Gary Lucy. Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of his early Hollyoaks stuff. I can't lie. Obviously, I need to stop saying obviously. He was involved with the controversial rape storyline initially, and then left shortly after, and then came back in 2017, battled with alcoholism, and it's he got married to Mandy, and then Darren and Mandy had an affair, and then Cindy and Luke, the birth of dealing with Ollie's being ruined by Buster. I think he did some cool stuff, but I did miss it, and the MND was intentionally tragic to see him slowly degrade. The exit was okay, but then he just fell off a cliff anyways, and they didn't really want to make it a realistic type death, which I usually don't complain about, but in this instance, it's it's going to be Luke's final episodes, and he fell off a cliff. It's fuck's sake. But I like him. He's alright. He's perfectly fine. I believe this is a very unflattering picture of my man. It's Shaq. Shaq. He's not a Malik. He's like a Shaq Hollyoaks. He is Shaq Qureshi. He is the biological son of Misbah Malik and Ali Shahzad. He came in at a time in that 2021 period where he ran away from his marriage. He slept with Teresa, he slept with Verity, and was going to get with he was going to get with Nadira before she realized she was gay, and it played out that big interesting storyline. And in the end, he was trying to get with Verity, which I did enjoy their relationship, but obviously Verity died and he went off to find himself. I like Shaq. I enjoyed him at the time. He was a bit of a favorite. I put him in Love You just because, you know. But Shaq was a fun, silly character. Didn't take things too seriously. And, you know, loved Verity. And I did like their relationship. So he can go in there. I know it's a bit controversial having Cindy and fucking Luke Morgan in Like You, but Shaq in Love You. You know what? Fuck it. Cindy can go in there. Luke can go up here. I don't know why everything's lacking to fuck. I can't lie. It's a bit weird. Just gonna pause this a sec. All right, we're back. So yeah, Shaq, I can appreciate, I can enjoy, and I do love him, but I don't want to fucking annoy people by putting the legacy characters below Shaq. So, my bad. Next up, Nana McQueen. I think she has to be in the second tier. Look, soaps are blessed when they can have these older characters who hold their own and fucking absolutely take the piss and just fucking lay into everyone. And Nana McQueen has the utmost privilege of being that older woman who will, you know, tell the family to sort their shit out when they're fucking up. And, you know, I think what helped me like Nana was when I watched through a lot of the Reenie stuff, and we got to see the struggles of Reenie, and then the struggles with Cleo, and the struggle with fucking just Portia, just all of the girls. And I just, like I said, the older characters who get to just fully shit on people, I feel like a lot of them have either been phased out or are already dead. And Nana McQueen holds up a strong legacy, and I respect everything that she does, and I appreciate her, even if she is a bit of a hypocrite sometimes. Next up, we have Courtney Campbell. I can't really tell you what much she did. She was with Jesse Donovan, but Jesse died on the night of their wedding. She was related to Cameron and Lockie, and yeah, I missed out most of the time, and by the time I was getting into it, she was about to leave. Liam and Jesse both died, and meant that she was just Grace's mate, and that's it. And there was that little bit of tease where Sid started to grow feelings for her, but because that happened, she left and has not been seen again, other than her taking in Grace's son Curtis. Next up, next up is obviously my favourite Hollyoaks character of all time, which is Stephen Hay. He is constantly campy and absurd. He nails the humour, but also has the very, visceral, agonizing pain when he is struggling. And, you know, you can just generally, you can look at a year and you can figure out what he was doing. The relationship with Brendan, the HIV, the John Paul relationship, the Harry relationship, to some, the fucking James Nightingale relationship. I love Steve. I think he can do it all. I also will never forget when he was asked if, like, oh, so do you ever want to, like, leave Hollyoaks? And he went, nah, I'm shit. Obviously, he's become a much better actor through time. But he was just like, nah, I'm shit. I'm bad actor, me. Which he isn't. And he has improved a lot more over the years. But I love him. He is probably my favourite Hollyoaks character of all time. You know, there's another contender up there. But he takes the cake, and I appreciate what he does, and I appreciate who he is. And yeah, he's just a sweetheart. And I always love it when Steve gets big storylines. So yeah, top tier for me. Alright, next up we have Sid Sumner, who is son of, I don't remember his name, but he was a guy who... He was the guy who, like, radicalized Steve to the alt-right, Stuart, and he killed Stuart in defense, trying to save Steve. Sid felt like a character who they realized how good they had it with the actor, as the actor was phenomenal, and the actor was really, really fucking good. And kind of like lucky to, I think it was like lightning in a bottle. It was also known that he was supposed to play either he made it close to be like either Hunter or Bobby Beale in EastEnders, which I don't know, I don't think it would have worked. I think he would have been a bit too cheeky chappy. But I do say that he was a really good character who, you know, some people like just have the storylines. He handled them, he crafted them, he meticulously did them. I didn't really like fucking I've lost everything, please love me Juliet era of Sid. And I will say his exit I personally would have changed, because the issue with his exit is instead of going with Serena Chen Williams, who he always was supposed to be with, ultimately he was with Lizzie for reasons. And I thought that obviously Serena played a role once he lost his leg, played a role in helping him feel a bit more confident and feel like he could put the right foot forward. It's just, yeah, because he had a pretty and then they had to wrap in Victor in his exit, and I don't know, it got a bit muddied at the end, but I do look forward to the idea of him eventually returning a bit older, a bit wiser, and hopefully a more rounded character who gets to be more of an adult rather than a kid. So, Sid, do love you. You are fantastic. What's this? It's not Victor. Oh, Walter. He's meh. He's okay. He was the Mitchell kind of patriarch of the Devereaux family. You know, father of Simone, father of Martine. Who the fuck's Melanie? No idea. Obviously, granddad of Lisa, Zach, Mitchell, and Toby and Celeste. Nothing really interesting to say about Walter. I think he was kind of lucky to have been there. And yeah, nothing to say about Walter. He's okay. Mizpah. Honestly, I appreciate how important the kind of like long-standing rape storyline that they did, and I enjoy the character to an extent, but Mizpah's just a bit of a I don't know, a bit of a nag, bit of annoyance. Like, obviously the family's starting to grow smaller and smaller, so she's having less to do at this current point in time. But, like, the quality is there. It's just not all the time. I don't feel like this is a very good comparison, but I guess I could say kind of like a Jean Slater character, where she's brought in every couple of years, has a big storyline, fucking knocks out the park, and then goes back to being Mizpah, who, you know, isn't that interesting at the best of times. Alright, next up we have Celeste Farrow, Toby's sister. I'll also put her on Don't Like. Celeste was a character who was introduced at a time where they were trying to establish this, like, Devereaux family, but we didn't really know what to do with Celeste. The start, it's like, are they together? No, they're not together. But then she generally just spent her life kind of keeping Toby together, and it was just a very weird dynamic. And she just didn't really do much, honestly. And I would have really liked if she had more to do, but ultimately, yeah, it was just. I feel like everybody in that Toby storyline kind of got a bad end of the stick, because it just wasn't interesting, was it? It was like a little weird social experiment, and it just kind of, it was just bad. It was just bad. Sorry. George Kiss, the man who coercively controlled John Paul, kind of continuing John Paul getting the Ronnie Mitchell treatment, where it's like, oh, you're happy, are you? But it's like, what the fuck, guys? He died after getting hit by Sally St. Clair with a trophy, and it was around COVID time, so it was really fucking dodgy. Kind of wild how, like, you know, Phil Mitchell's never killed a man, but Sally St. Clair has murdered a man in cold blood. I think this storyline took a bit of a beating because of COVID. I think it kind of sped it up dramatically. And it kind of led to a very dark place for John Paul. Like, he started in January 2020. He left in May 2021. Like, I think it did kind of dramatically. It was an interesting portrayal, but yeah, I think the one thing I remember the most is simply saying that he had the same leather jacket that I did, and I thought he was cool, obviously, until he started being abusive to John Paul. So I'm gonna say Don't Like. Is that Warren? I think it's Warren. Warren, for me, is a character that I can appreciate that he's a big deal and important, but all the time, I don't think so. I feel like Warren's mystique has been really squashed by the length of his current stay, and he's been here, like, on and off since 2016, right? But kind of has a solid 4 years of mediocre storylines. Like, he's had good stuff, the stuff with Sienna, but then we had the stuff with Brody and the stuff with Felix and the Mercedes stuff. Like, I can appreciate Warren Fox as a character, but at this current point in time, he has to be. I don't know. A lot of that may be recency bias as well, because obviously he's currently going through the Ella stuff, where it's like, why the fuck? Oh, you killed Ella, how fucking dare you? We were getting to know each other, and obviously he wasn't. He wasn't getting to know her. Like, but no, he has to be in love with you. He was Phil Mitchell has been a dodgy Warren Fox knockoff for years, and I don't remember who said it. I think it was Danny May, I believe, who said that. But yeah, There we are. I appreciate what they did, and I can respect and love, you know, Jamie Lomas for the portrayal of Warren. But yeah, I feel like Warren should be a character who's brought in for a year, fucks shit up, absolutely destroys everything, and then proceeds to leave shortly after. Alright, next up is Denise Welsh, who played Maxine's mum. Who is she called? Trish. I fucking hate Trish with a passion. And I think this extends to Denise Welsh, because she plays the same uptight, fucking arrogant, holier-than-thou prick of a character in every single fucking thing she's on. She was it in Hollyoaks, she was it in Waterloo Road, and she was it in Hollyoaks. And this was the extended fucking Fergus storyline, which probably my least favourite Hollyoaks storyline of the last couple years that I've seen. It was so... It just went on too long, in my opinion. And it kind of killed a lot of the intrigue and appreciation. And I fucking hate Trish. She was such a holier-than-thou fucking nuisance. And I can't be dealing with Trish ever. Alright, next up, Maxine. I think I appreciate what Maxine has done, and I obviously enjoyed the Patrick storyline and the kind of extended family with Sienna stuff. But in the day-to-day, Maxine's just a fucking nuisance, and you generally see her get placed in these like scenarios just to be annoying. And you know, she did a lot of good stuff with the Eric stuff, but she can go up the top of meh. Like, I feel like she just needs a big storyline again, and I feel like that's been missing from her for a long time. So, yeah. Next up is Damon Kinsella. I'll just put him in don't like. It's just, there wasn't much to enjoy with Damon. He had his relationship with Liberty. He was kind of like he's the male equivalent of like the spare part. He just hangs about and farts around, doesn't do much. Had a gambling storyline which was not very fleshed out and not very well done, but ultimately the main stuff was the Brody story. And yeah, I just fucking just don't like you. It's not interesting. Next up, we have, I believe it's Liam Donovan. Yeah, Liam Donovan. He had long hair, and then he left, and he didn't have long hair. Liam, who is half related to Grace Black. But ultimately he was pushed down the stairs by her. I thought it was... I've only seen brief bits from the like slight pieces. I didn't mind his first iteration, but then you had his like, like slightly dangerous, sexy bisexual. But he was with fucking Mercedes. He was with he was with James. He was with Mercedes. Just not interesting. Not a fan. Is this Mitchell? It's kind of cropped off his head. It looks like Mitchell. Mitchell, don't like. Mitchell was a bit pathetic. I can't lie. He was the golden boy of Martine. And, well, it's mostly just 'cause he was embroiled in the fucking... He was embroiled in the Toby, Celeste stuff. I will say I did enjoy his kind of coming out story, like his relationship with Cleo, and then ultimately he just couldn't help himself with Scott. But he kind of got discarded pretty quickly, and my stuff of seeing Mitchell was ultimately the end, where he was like made to leave and never come back. So, just not interesting. Alright, Adam Ricketts, who played Kyle, I believe. I mean, I know he played Kyle, but like, I should probably like move this tier list to some shit. I realize that I shouldn't just fucking have it. Like, fuck it. It can just go there. Yeah, Mitchell was not interesting in the slightest, and I saw him at the end. Next up, we have Ollie Morgan. Luke's son had the Buster Briggs sexual abuse storyline. Got recast as well in there. I didn't like this iteration of Ollie. He was constantly on Ket and perpetually kind of moody and mardy. But I say the one thing I will always remember is the scene where him and Juliet decide to sleep together. And it's just the most, like, high on Ket, and it's the most fucking miserable fucking existence all of them have been in. So I'm going to put him in don't like. He was okay, but he didn't do much, and he magically left to go coach a team. I feel like if they would have kept the previous actor, it would have been more interesting, but they didn't, so we had to work with what we had to work with. Next up, we have Fergus. Already said my piece, probably my least favourite Hollyoaks storyline in the last couple of years, where Fergus slowly became like the fucking hard man of the show, made Warren his little bitch, and it's what the actor does. I swear the actor does it everywhere, where he did it in Hollyoaks and then he did it in Emmerdale as well. And the Fergus reign was just fucking miserable. I think it was once again a big fucking... It felt like another COVID storyline. And he was only there for, March till November, so he wasn't that deep. But fuck me, did it feel like forever. Like, he was miserable. He was filming women, like, in the bedrooms and selling it online. Like, nah, Fergus can fuck right off. Jack. Honestly, I feel like... Oh, Jack Osborne, rather. I feel like Jack's kind of... I don't feel like Jack's a good dad. I don't feel like he's a good granddad. And he hasn't come out the other side for me to actually like the character. I think he's a kind of constant nuisance, and I would have probably enjoyed... I don't know, like, maybe I've missed out the key storylines, but unlike Nana McQueen, I've not really had that big emotional impact for him to really make me appreciate the character. So I'm going to put him in, like, top of meh. Like, he's fine. He just never gets anything big to work with. And even with recency bias, the stuff with Frankie Jr., like, what? I really didn't enjoy how it was handled, where he's like, I'm the victim here. And it's like, yes, I guess you did get fucking... You know, you didn't do anything malicious, and she, like, freaked out about it. But should we not be allowing a bit of levity, as there's clearly some bigger shit going on there? No, okay, fine, you know. Alright, Silver. Yeah, he's not in hate. He's just in don't like. The Silver character it felt like it was just tailor-made to fit Mercedes. Like Silver was probably the best man that Mercedes has been with But the main issue with that is they would argue, and then they would try for a baby, and then they would argue and they'd try for more babies. And through time, it just went, lads, can you just fucking have a relationship, please? Like, please, can you guys just fucking stop? But it was just one note the entire time, and that meant he got involved with the dodgy 2020 Silas stuff. And just each return that Silas has had, it just got appreciably worse. But, you know, I don't like Silver, but he is up the top of this list. Like, he's okay. But it's just, he was just railroaded into being, beyond a certain point, of course, you know, he had the, like, Grace stuff. But beyond a certain point, he just became one note. Ah, Mercedes, baby, now. And like, oh, fuck, please, can we just have a break? Next up, we have Cher McQueen, who I liked, honestly. She was a kind of downtrodden Mercedes, like a downtrodden McQueen at the core. There was some half, like, serious stuff, but we never really got to see it. Where I believe she was, like, the reason one of her sisters died. Because she got very jealous. And, like, she drowned. But, you know, the good thing is they slowly allowed her to get beyond this awful dynamic with Romeo and Mercedes, and they ended up being quite friendly with each other. And yeah, it was just like Mercedes and Cher were fighting for, like, Silver's love, and Silver usually just picked Mercedes, and it just felt bad. And then Romeo cheated on, like, Cher with Mercedes, and then at the exit was Tom having, like, they shared a little kiss because they were both feeling down. But yeah, man, I liked her, but she joined in June 2020. She left in February 2022. She didn't have much storylines, and I wanted her to, and I thought she was cool, but ultimately, yeah, never really got to do much interest. Next up, we have Cleo. I like Cleo. No, I have to be in love you. Cleo is another fucking tragic character who really should get her happy ending, and it feels like they can't resist not giving her shit. Like, I would really love for Cleo to fucking, like, actually get her flowers, because, you know, obviously the Peach stuff, then the Joel stuff, and then in that middle part she did nothing for a while. Like, in that, once again, in that COVID period, she didn't do anything and left, and then now she's come back with a purpose, and once again, good old Cleo J stan. So please can we get Cleo and Joel? Next up, we have Liberty. I think that's Liberty, at least. Could be wrong. I'm just going to put her in don't like. Liberty is an okay character. She is that, like, kind of zany. Yeah, it is Liberty. She is that, like, zany, like, Mercury's in retrograde, fucking spiritual person. I don't feel like she does a good job of being a savage. I feel like that's kind of... Excuse me, bloody hell. I feel like in this... Obviously, she's just kind of just become, like, Sienna's sister, and I respect it, but the shit relationship with Damon, having Faith, who Sienna got a bit jealous over... Nah, she's okay, and I'm sure she could be better, but I think she's just gonna be in that kind of, like, comedy, kind of not getting any big impactful storylines role, and it kind of deserves the place. I think this next one is Kurt Benson. The guy who returned after many years. I think he was like selling like fitness stuff at the end. I think he was trying to like con, because it turned out that he was alive the whole time. Is that actually Kurt Benson? Oh wait, no, is that Pete? I don't fucking know who it is. Is Pete on this list? These pictures are pretty difficult to follow. Fuck it, I'm just gonna do one for both. If it's Pete, it's in hate because he was a fucking scumbag. If it was Kurt Benson, I'm just gonna put him in hate in general. The guy kind of, I think it is Kurt Benson. The guy faked his death and then returned and then convinced everybody to try and invest in his shit. And he proposed to Verity and got blackmailed to leave. And shit. Just fucking shit. Next up is Mandy, I believe. I liked Mandy and I respect what she did. I feel like her getting fired for starting OnlyFans was pretty unreasonable. And Hollyoaks hasn't really recovered from that bad reputation. Obviously, she's kind of moved towards doing a bit more like raunchy stuff, which I guess if it were that, but at the time she was on, yeah, I subscribed all the time, but like from what I could tell at the start, it was quite, well, it wasn't innocent as such, but in comparison to what it could have been, I feel like she was a good character, and I would have loved to have seen the last, because obviously Ella had to die. I feel like it would have been more interesting to see, you know, just what she would have been allowed to do. But she never got that chance. So I still think it is criminal how she was treated. But in the end, I don't know, it's always hard keeping these characters alive. Next up is Marnie. I'm going to put Marnie in hate. I don't really have a particularly good reason. She was just that holier-than-thou French patisserie. Like, I was relatively sad that she died, but not particularly. I also remember, wasn't there some controversy about Marnie being like, oh, why is Hollyoaks getting the bad rep for its treatment of, like, minorities? And then she kind of went, fuck off. Yeah, Lisa Anthony tells Hollyoaks bosses to rot in hell after sacking amid race row. Yeah, and then she kind of fell off the deep end. She fell off the deep end. Yeah, right. Yeah. It was when Rachel Adedeji left amid racism rumors and saying that the makeup staff didn't know how to work with her, the hairstylist didn't know how to work with them because, you know, different hair. And she said, sorry, but we're not going to have a job to come back to. This stuff keeps getting disseminated. And, like, I don't know, man. I just... Nah, I'm not a fan. Which kind of takes up that fucking, like... Takes up that, she's angry because she got to be revealed as a bit of a piece of shit. And Marnie was never the best character in the first place. And honestly, I'm quite content to never have the character be seen again.